with him laughing. I love it.
The fucking lady's gonna come back. That was at the grocery store.
Oh my God, no!
All right,
Coming back for you.
All right,
All
let's
right,
start this off. Welcome
ahead,
back to another East versus West. I'm your host, Eddie.
I'm Anthony.
That's Anthony. This is the only podcast where you can get a dose of both coasts. Today we got a special one. It is our 20th episode of East versus West. And we got a couple of interesting people on, some interesting guests. But first, we're going to start off. I'm going to transfer it over to Anthony. We got a couple things that we want to talk about before we get there.
So as you can see on the screen, you can see all of our guests here. They're here. That's no secret. We were trying to keep this hidden for quite some time. We hinted some stuff on social media, but it's okay. You guys are well aware now. This is out in the public. You guys are watching this. This is the crossover of a lifetime. You thought Avengers Endgame was something. This is better than Endgame. This takes Endgame out of the box office. Thank you so much for supporting the East versus West podcast for some time now. We are on our 20th episode right now, and this is a huge kind of milestone for us, especially since lately me and Eddie have been very consistent with episodes and stuff. It went so far as to we wanted to have a certain piece of merchandise for this podcast. I don't know what's happening right now. I see some masks going on, and I knew from the start when we did this podcast it was going to be a lot of shenanigans, and I'm very happy for that right now. It's something we need right now in this tough time, but social distancing at its finest, you know. But we got merchandise on our store right now, which is you can find the link in our bio. So yeah, that's basically it for merchandise. I mean, the podcast is going good, East versus West. What started as a little concept with me and Eddie has grown to such stuff that we couldn't believe would ever grow to where it is now. And we're highly thankful for that. Also, me and Eddie, everybody test. Yep. Test your
The
mic.
legendary truth.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, if you guys want to continue to follow and support the channels, you know, me and Eddie are on social media. Mine's at the Knights of Horror. Eddie's is very complicated to say. You couldn't just make a simple one.
At RU Eddie-tained.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't pop up like that on mine, but okay. But it's been a journey, and I'm glad to finally have some guests here. Two on the East Coast, I'm sorry, and one on the West Coast. First and foremost, we're gonna start with the first time I'm collabing with him ever, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm glad he's finally on the show. Mr. ZombieChris from Florida, our East Coast boy out there. How you doing, ZombieChris?
Welcome.
I am doing swell. Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah.
I'm so nervous. I don't know. I'm going first.
First. On first. So transitioning to another. What do you even call them? Floridians? Floridians? I didn't say that, Losh. Come on. I love you, brother. I'm the only one that's been kind of like, I've been really nice to Losh since he's been on. Eddie's just been roasting him left and right. Scott's just been roasting him left and right. Me and Chris are
30
just
minutes late
trying to figure stuff out. All the way from the East Coast and in the Florida area, Mr. LoshTV. How you doing, man?
I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
Yeah. Taking it back to the West Coast.
Oh.
The man who is pretty much killing the game out here with all of his media and all of his content coming out, giving us some of the best experience for all things theme parks out on the West Coast. Give it up for your boy, Socalexploring.
You know, I'm already back on the Knights of Horror channel. Just want to say that I have the longest veterinary reign on the Knights of Horror channel. So Eddie, don't even try.
Ooh.
Oh, damn. It's going to get aggressive like that?
You guys might be tied, dude. I mean, Eddie's done 20 episodes of East versus West. He's been on a couple.
And I've been on Knights of Horror.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair. But I can drive an hour and a half and go give Anthony a hug right now.
That's true.
Social distancing.
You'd have to take it's social distancing.
Social distancing. Come on.
I'm the furthest from, I guess, everybody. Everybody's pretty close to each other as far as like the East Coast and the West Coast. But All right, cool. So, guys, thanks for joining us. Welcome to the podcast. It's going to be a good one. We got a collaborative group of some of the most influential podcasters around Halloween Horror Nights. And today we're going to be talking about the event. But I also wanted to open up and kind of give everybody just a quick floor for if you've been living under a rock and you don't know who these guys are, they can tell you a little bit about themselves and what they do. We're going to go in the same order, just a few seconds, guys. If you could introduce yourself and your channel. We'll start off with Chris.
Oh, so I heard just a couple minutes, right, for ZombieChris. What is up, everybody? If you don't know who I am your local zombie here on the East Coast. I cover horror, I cover theme park stuff, I cover horror nights, all sorts of stuff on the channel. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
And the name of the channel is ZombieChris.
ZombieChris, yeah.
ZombieChris.
Hopefully that would get stuck in your brain. It's just ZombieChris.
Yeah, and
yeah.
And social media or anything?
Social media is Zombie CT, but no, it's not for Connecticut. I don't know why everyone thinks that. It's just Zombie CT.
Just like Carrie O. You know what I mean?
There you go.
If anyone knows the joke, they know.
Cool.
Carrie
All
O.
Right. Thank you, Senor. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing your channel with us. Next, we have the West Coast Explorer, Socalexploring. Tell us a little about yourself, sir.
Well, exploring SoCal, now exploring Orlando. Still not doing a name change, but yeah. Subscribe.
Confusing.
Subscribe, SoCal Exploring on YouTube. Social media, SoCal Exploring. It's SoCal Exploring Meet on Instagram, but it'll pop up. And yeah, I'm happy to be on here. We also run a dope podcast called Horror Nights Unscripted. Pretty cool podcast. You guys should check it out.
Yep.
With my boy LoshTV.
Yep. And his co-host is the next gentleman that will be introducing himself, Senor Losh, Adrian from LoshTV.
All right, so hi, I am happy to be here. I love these men right here, Eddie and Anthony, Knights of Horror, East versus West. Very inspirational. They've showed us so many things. They've told us that they are the only East versus West podcast, the only one that is the dopest of those hosts.
I'm glad you watched that episode, by the way. Thank you.
I watched it. I watched it at least 3 times because I had to show everyone. I was like, look at these guys. Look how happy they are.
Only.
Emphasis on the only. That's what you need, a shirt that just says only. The Obey shirts? Only.
Only. They live, right? They live. Great horror movie.
Exactly.
No, but I am glad that outside of joking, I am glad that there is also another platform where East versus West, the concept and the idea is expanding to other YouTubers with Horror Nights Unscripted. And I watched the first episode and I was very impressed with your guys' chemistry. So you guys got a really bright future ahead of you guys, and I can see a ton of collaborations in the future with East versus West and Horror Nights Unscripted. So yeah, guys, keep it up. It's gonna be a good show. We got a really good solid show for you guys today. Today we're gonna be talking.
Did his sound just cut off?
Oh no.
Your sound just cut off.
He's like, I got a really good show for you.
I can't hear you.
We don't have a good show for you.
All right, Eddie, you gotta
we have a
step
good
in,
show
Eddie.
for you. They're like, stop lying.
You might as well be 30 minutes late, bro.
Oh.
Oh my god.
I guess Eddie.
Go hear something.
Anthony, we still can't hear you.
Eddie's gonna just do the whole episode.
All right. Hey, Anthony, just sit there and look pretty. I got this.
That's easy for him, though. Look at the guy.
All right, look, while Anthony's trying to fix his sound, we're going to take it to the next step, which before we get into the event this year, I wanted to just take a quick moment for everybody to talk about their first year at the event. We got people that have been doing this for a really long time. I know SoCal. I know Chris has been doing this for probably about like 9 years, and Losh has been doing this for some time as well. I myself have been going to the event for a really long time. So why don't we start off with you, Chris? What was your first time at the event?
That sounds so funny. My first time. It was HHN 13, which, if you didn't know Orlando lingo, That is 2003, I want to say. That was the year of the director. That was my first year. Previously, I kind of knew what Horror Nights was. I wasn't like really into it, but then like the commercials started ramping up, and I still hear that song played from the commercial. It gives me chills, and that was when I made the decision to go to Halloween Horror Nights. I was terrified. God, I was so terrified then. Yeah, that was my first year.
Yeah, that was a great time in Halloween Horror Nights. That's actually my second year. My first year was Islands of Fear, which was the year before that, which was the Caretaker.
Lucky.
But we'll go ahead and we'll go over to SoCal. Scott, what was your first year at Hollywood?
So I've been going since 2010, which was kind of a weird transition for Hollywood. It was just a weird transition overall. A lot of good mazes that year. I didn't really know what Horror Nights was at all. I mean, I just kind of going just because it looked fun. So, and then I got hooked like everybody else. As soon as you go to Horror Nights the first year, you get the Horror Nights bug.
Yep.
Ever since then, I've been loyal to 10 years, and one of the most loyal out there in Hollywood. So,
I've
been dedicated.
Yeah, the following over in Hollywood is small. No, I'm kidding.
Yes. Yeah. No, it is.
No, I'm kidding. But last but not least, Senor LoshTV, Adrian, when was your first time at the event?
How am I supposed to compare to these guys?
I know. He's going to be like, last year was my first time.
My
And I was 30 minutes late.
My first year was 2013. So it was the year, HHN 23 was the year they had like a park-wide scare zone for The Walking Dead.
Ah, gotcha. Very nice.
Absolutely loved it. It was great.
Yep. Hey,
But no,
Chris, the director, wasn't that when they opened up both parks, or was that 2015 or HHN 15?
Oh no! Wait a minute. 13.
There was one year when they opened
13
up
was
Islands
only
Adventure.
Islands, I want to say. 16 was back home at Universal, so I think 15 was both parks.
Both parks.
Does my audio work?
That was the one that had
Oh, yeah, we can hear you now, Anthony. Welcome
No,
back.
I mean, it's been working. I've just been quiet. I had like a thing ready to go. Like, yeah, my first year was 2011. Hey.
That is a great joke part, Anthony.
So before we continue,
in Hollywood don't count it as the same we do in Orlando, right?
Yeah,
with the numbers, no.
Okay.
From the event.
You're like, that's just stupid.
And I
I'm
try
gonna
to stress that so much.
warn you before we continue. That might happen throughout the thing where my mic goes in and out because it was happening when I did a video conference at one point. I don't know why it does that, but it tends to only do that when there's a lot of people in for some reason. So if it does happen, Eddie, you're just going to have to step in as El Capitan.
I gotcha. All right, cool. So taking it from there, as you can see, everybody has been going to the event for some time now. I've gone well over 10 years, and I think everybody here has gone roughly around 10 years, if not more. The event is near and dear to all of us, and this year it seems like we're going to have some changes, but luckily enough, the news out there seems really positive for what's going to happen. There's a lot of talk about what measures are going to be put in place for this year's event as far as safety measures, given the current circumstances, which we won't jump too much into the circumstances, but we'll talk about maybe what those measures may be. But first and foremost, we've had some predictions out there, and let's keep it going with the roundtable because we got 5 people on here. If we all start talking at the same time, it's going to be too many people. Let's go first with you, Chris. Go ahead and let us know what you think about the current speculation map that's out there. I think we got version 2.0 is the most recent one.
Yes, that is correct. We have 2.0, some changes on there. Cary, Ohio has dropped from Legendary Truth, which it could lead to something bigger, I think. We have the Unknown Original, which I think a lot of people are kind of sleeping on. The Secret IP, I don't know what it is quite yet, but I do believe it's got to be something big because if you look at all the IPs this year, it doesn't really quite look like an audience grabber like previous years with Stranger Things. They need kind of that big icon on the shirt, like a Michael Myers or maybe a Leatherface or something to that degree. Other than that, I think it's looking like a solid event. We just kind of need a little more of the theme of what's going with this year. Like last year we had sort of the vibe of 80s, and it's kind of always hard to see where they're going with a theme, because if you look at HHN 25, like that was perfectly casted with Jack coming back, and then the overall theme of the event, like just having Jack almost everywhere and having the icons on the Hollywood scare zone. So kind of wondering how they're going to tie all this together with Terror Queen and maybe a storyteller kind of type of thing. And will we see some past icons that we haven't seen before? Maybe.
I think there's got to be some of the bigger icons, because Terror Queen, we talked about it on our podcast like about 2 podcasts ago. The Terror Queen and the storyteller are not big enough to handle a 30th year anniversary. But we'll transition over to the West Coast. We got Scott.
All right, Eddie. I'll take it over from here. This is West Coast. This is West Coast. You got East Coast. You got them too. Scott, I got you, brother. This is our time to shine now. Scott, West Coast predictions, brother. We saw a version 2.0 as well of the map. What are your thoughts as far as what this map's looking like and what the future of the event potentially holds?
Well, a couple, not a lot of changes compared to version 1 of the map. It's 2 changes, which is Gremlins and Sabrina being scrapped, which is no surprise at all. The original, I don't think we're going to be getting another original. That's just my personal opinion. That'd be weird if we got. I was talking about this. It's like we have 4 originals in Hollywood. Like, what the hell? When does that ever happen?
Yeah, it's a rarity.
Yeah, I don't think that will be an original. I could be wrong though. It could be another original. The secret IP, I think, is going to be one of the big ones. Is Invisible Man, Texas Chainsaw, or like I just discovered, Silence of the Lambs. So if it's Silence of the Lambs, it's gonna be covered in black walls, as we all know. Same with Invisible Man. It's whatever. But if it's Texas Chainsaw, it's gonna be great.
It's really kind of throwing me a curveball over here, because everybody keeps predicting Texas Chainsaw, and it's just kind of being thrown out there as far as predictions go. And the only reason that's kind of making me a little skeptical about that is the fact that since it's not really having its own film coming soon, or is it just, are they just bringing it back just for the hell of it? Is that what,
Well,
what
I think I think there's an inside source that posted it in an article, and it's got a lot of people talking on the forums. And that's where the rumors have come around. And I have a couple inside sources that say like, oh yeah, they've been talking about it too. So I think that's where the rumor came from.
I would love to see the remake version of that, the 2003, where it told a little bit of a backstory and a more twisted version of it. I like that one.
In 2016, when we had Texas Chainsaw, that was one of my most favorite mazes ever. So if I'd be fine with it, bring it back.
Yeah. I'm gonna let Eddie take over for Losh, because we gotta get Losh in here too, man. Losh is waiting, man.
30 minutes late, but
really, you're gonna keep that up? That's me. He's our guest. He's a guest.
Hey, it's okay. He's from the Yukon. So, bro, what do you think about the current speculated Orlando map?
So, I actually really like the map. I think it's really cool. The one thing I didn't like that was on version 1, that ended up being on version 2, changed, was Billie Eilish. I thought it was a cool premise, but I'm happy that they made her into, just giving the music to monsters.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a way better way, in Orlando at least, to personify Billie Eilish. And maybe give her the Lagoon show as well, but we don't know anything about the shows, so.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. I think there's a really good chance that she'll be the show, and I think from a Hollywood perspective, at least me personally, I know that Hollywood does a lot more things with artists actually creating original houses. So I think it makes a lot more sense for them, even though I'm not sure that they're going to get it. What do you guys think about that? I know this is a split between the 2 West Coast guys. I think SoCal kind of is okay with it. I know what Anthony thinks. So you guys break it down for us.
Here's the thing, right?
I'm
gonna
step
step
that
in
wants
here.
to come to the event, and their poster's hanging right behind me, and that's Iron Maiden.
I'm gonna step in here, all right? Because with me, as a lot of you guys know, and maybe a couple in the audience that are watching this know, I hate people who tear on properties before. Now, don't get me wrong, I tear on Hollywood a lot for their black walls and everything, but like people who don't give the things a chance sometimes, like it pisses me off. Now, don't get me wrong, screw Billie Eilish and screw the fact that she may be coming, but they could do way better bands like Slipknot or any other bands like that, you know, right? There's plenty of content, but as far as like someone like that coming, you just gotta have an open mind. You just gotta let the creative team do what they do best.
And I think that's the case just for the event in general. I think Universal can surprise you with anything, and sometimes something that you think is going to be great ends up being terrible. So you know, it could go both ways. So you got to be open-minded about it. But that's the first time I hear this perspective from you. So interesting enough to
Anthony's
hear
cooking up something right now.
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm kind of looking at our stuff we're going to talk about on the show. Go ahead. You're good.
Yeah. Focus.
I am focusing. I can hear everything that's going on. I'm keeping up with the show.
All right. So outside of the speculation map, here we're going to flip it around. We'll let SoCal start this one, and then we'll bring it back around to the East Coast. We'll go SoCal, Anthony. We'll go Losh, then Chris after this. Okay. So with this one, outside of what's been speculated, I know that there's a couple other things circulating out there. I've heard you talk about it, SoCal. What do you think, outside of the speculation map, something that you think potentially is coming to your event? And now that you're doing Orlando, you're more than welcome to, shoot something out there that you think maybe Orlando's getting as well.
So as far as like what's on the map already, or what's like what nobody thinks?
Off the map.
Okay.
Anything additional that you think is potentially coming?
So for Hollywood, I want to say real quick what's not coming, and that's the Terror Tram. A lot of people think the Terror Tram is coming back this year. It's not going to come back.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace. Not only the Terror Tram, but Whoville. Whoville got demolished.
And that's another big reason why it's not coming back. They're just, unless they were to put a maze out there, that'd be insane.
Oh, that'd be dope. Leading into the Bates Motel.
That'd be insane. But yeah, as far as that, I don't think that's coming back. With the secret IP on the map, like I said, I think it could be Silence of the Lambs very easily. It's one of the things that a lot of people don't realize could happen, but it's a classic movie. Hannibal Lecter would be terrifying. I think it'll work. As far as what's on the map, though, I think it's pretty spot on for Hollywood, at least.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty spot on, in my personal opinion. And for Orlando, Halloween Horror Nights 30, that unknown original, me and Losh are talking about this. This will probably be the anniversary house, somewhere along the lines of like the Hollowed Pass in 2010. Hopefully they would do something like that. But if you notice, most of the original mazes have an icon that can be related to them. Like Bedtime Stories is obviously the storyteller. Pumpkin original could be a new icon that we don't know yet. Dungeon of Terror could be, I don't know, that's probably just a throwback maze for not an actual icon in there. Terror Quintus, obviously we have the Terror Queen. So I think that we're going to be introduced to a new icon in the Pumpkin original.
Yeah, possibly. Anthony?
So I think with a lot what Scott said as far as Hannibal Lecter, Silence of the Lambs coming. I look over because I have the Funko Pop literally sitting right here. But I'm a fan of Silence of the Lambs. Very psychologically driven horror movie, which I loved a lot. Just coming out of, this genius of a guy, Hannibal Lecter, who's just an insane human being who just is a cannibal. It's just an amazing concept for a movie that spawned a sequel as well as a kind of a prequel, which was part of the trilogy, which I barely found that out like a month or two ago when my dad was watching it. But it's a fascinating film. It is definitely there's a lot they can work with. Again, though, it's going to be a challenge, much like how The Exorcist was for a challenge for Horror Nights in Hollywood. It's going to be a challenge for them to do a maze based off Silence of the Lambs, just because there's not very many scary scenes in there. I guess the most like compelling and really disturbing scenes in that film is, of course, when we see what's his name, Bill, Buffalo Bill, And just a lot of the disturbing stuff that he does is terrifying. And then of course when we see Clarice and Hannibal, encounter with each other is another terrifying scene. So it's gonna be, I want to let people know now, if Hannibal does come to the event, you got to give it, like Scott said, give it a chance. Yeah, there may not be a lot to work with, but usually Universal Creative knows how to kind of pick those scenes and really bring them to life, which I've always really loved with mazes at HHN. I would love to see, being that Halloween Kills is slated to come out this year, I would love to see Halloween 2018 come to the event, which would be a very good way to promote not only Halloween Kills, but it's kind of one of those things where you get to walk through the maze and then go see the movie. So it's like you get to kind of live through the first movie and then you can go watch the new movie on screen. And if you guys go to the Hollywood event, Scott knows this, if you wait in lines at certain mazes, they actually play like trailers for that, whatever they're doing, or they'll play Crypt TV stuff out in the line queues. So it'd be a good way to really throw up the trailer to kind of really promote that movie and get people hyped in line, as well as the Crypt TV stuff they usually play, which would be really cool. But yeah, I mean, those are basically my two biggest predictions. And if they are going to do another original based around Horror Nights, I would love to see a scare zone that we did last year, which was Spirits and Demons of the East. It was a very awesome scare zone, a lot of great characters, and I would love to see those characters in a storyline. So we'll see.
All right, quick one real quick, because you brought up a point there. So first and foremost, I think the East Coast guys will agree with me. I don't think trailer houses, like houses that came out before the movie came out, did too well. Done too well. They don't have a history of doing too well. But Halloween coming to the event is something that I think is very likely, but brings up a good point. Another speculation out there is potentially a Blumhouse maze. Just a quick yay or nay. Do you think there's a potential of a Blumhouse maze coming to the West Coast, Scott?
Well, no, and also I don't want to see it.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, honesty is the best policy. How about you, Anthony?
Well, I mean, if they have to bring something in last minute, it's gonna be either Invisible Man or Halloween 2018, both Blumhouse films. And I mean, it's a good cover up. I don't know how they're gonna do Invisible Man. I mean, if you've seen the movie, I mean, the way he is in that movie, I mean, it's not like anything like the original in the 1930s. So I don't know how they would do an Invisible Man maze, but they'll do it. But a Halloween 2018 maze, I would love to see.
Here's the thing. Let me step in a quick second. If they were to do a Blumhouse maze, like, I'm not against Blumhouse. I mean, we've seen in Hollywood at least the two failures that came. And the first year wasn't really a failure because the Purge area was good and Happy Death Day was good, but Sinister was a bunch of reused props and everything, which sucked. The only reason I don't want to see Blumhouse come is, like Anthony said, it'd have to be Halloween 2018 and the Invisible Man combined. And I want to see Halloween in a full maze. I don't want to see it in a crappy little 1 minute and a half section. It just, you can't see a lot of it.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't know if you know, Scott, but I think everybody else here knows. I'm a huge Halloween fan. Huge bias towards any Halloween film.
I'm a huge Halloween fan.
Wait, Scott, you're telling me you didn't like Horrors of Blumhouse Chapter 2? That was like the best maze that year. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, definitely. Filled with tons of black walls that Murdy promised weren't.
Dude, that's what made it scary.
We don't. Yeah, the black walls scare you guys. You're like, no,
especially the black walls.
That's why I go to Knott's.
It was like we were watching like the Unfriended screen. It's truly impressive. No scare there or anything, but it was scary.
Yeah.
What are black walls?
Yeah, exactly. We don't know what black walls are over on the East Coast. But all right, with that, we'll transition into Adrian, Senor LoshTV. Outside of what's been speculated on the map, I think these guys brought up a couple things that potentially could come to both events. So you got Silence of the Lambs and potentially something Blumhouse or Halloween. Anything else you want to add, or maybe elaborate on those two?
All right, so do you want me to be serious right now?
Yeah, go ahead. Be serious.
All right. Unfriended Dark Web for Hollywood. There it is. Boom. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure who it was that said it, but I know it's someone in this chat. Someone right here said a Halloween trilogy house next year. I want to say it was Zombie.
Yep.
I think it was me, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I agree with that more. Now I know Eddie's kind of mad at me right now because he wants to see Halloween this year because that man loves his Halloween.
Yes, I do.
Okay. But we have a potential to maybe have something little from Blumhouse because Blumhouse and Universal, obviously, it's the parent company. So if they need a last-minute IP, they're going to pull from there. Or if let's Monkey Paw, that's also attached to Blumhouse, which would be Candyman. If that can happen, which I doubt it'll happen, but we can potentially have Candyman. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. Senor ZombieChris. He's French, guys, so you got to say it that way. It's not ZombieChris. It's ZombieChris.
Mary. Would it shock everyone if I've said I've never seen Silence of the Lambs?
No.
Oh my God.
Nope. It wasn't one bit, actually.
But this also ties to Halloween Horror Nights because when they announced The Shining, I never saw The Shining before. I saw it before I went to the house, but I never saw it when they made the announcement. I was I guess I gotta watch it.
Hold on. So before you continue,
that's just pure neglect, man. How could you be a horror podcaster or horror YouTube channel, man? Come on.
Listen to this though. I know a chick who plays. And she's watching. I'm not talking shit on you. You're an amazing scare actor. You're an amazing.
Is this the only
person.
chick you know?
Yeah.
No, he knows Losh.
Oh, dude, that's mean. Why is everybody messing on Losh today, dude? Like, that's mean. I'm like the only one that's like me and Chris are like, you gotta save some with us.
My bad. All right.
No, but I will say this: she's an amazing and talented scare actress, and she's an amazing person. She runs a channel. She helps run a channel, but she plays a werewolf at Not Scary Farm, and she's never seen American Werewolf in London.
Damn.
I'm like, that's an icon. That's a must werewolf movie if you're gonna,
you haven't watched Gremlins.
I don't want to watch Gremlins. It looks like shit
right now.
It looks like shit.
On the right hand side, so I'm poking you for doing that.
That's why I'm glad it's not going to the event. It just doesn't look like a movie I would watch. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that now, but
all right. Okay. So Chris, you haven't watched Silence of the Lambs, so you can speculate that. What would you speculate outside of what's on the speculation map?
Oh man, I feel like Leatherface is a big enough icon to have on shirt. Between him and like maybe one or two of the ghosts from House on Haunted Hill. I think I said that right.
The Haunting of Hill House.
No.
I saw that on the bottom. He was like.
I'm gonna always pronounce that way in the vlogs. Man, I like Michael Myers, but I feel like they want to wait till next year. The Blumhouse angle seems like it could be maybe there, but then I don't know what they would put in it. Psycho is something kind of old tradition with HHN Orlando, and we haven't had it in a long time, so maybe I'm gonna go with Psycho.
Interesting. So wait, hold on. Let me have you elaborate on something, Chris. So you don't think Halloween is coming back up till next year?
Losh is raising his hand.
Losh, put your hand down. Put your hand down, all right? He's probably in the corner. Nobody sees that he's raising his hand, Scott.
Mean.
But
cyberbully.
Elaborate on something for me real quick. So Halloween, from my experience, has come to the event for the past couple years, every 2 years. Why do you think this year will be the first time that doesn't happen? Because this would be 2 years from the last time he was at the event.
Good point. But the 2 year span is based upon the classic original franchise, and with this being the new franchise, I feel like they didn't do it on the first go around when everyone was thinking they were going to do the first Halloween, and then they saw, wow, this is successful. Oh, okay, there's 2 more planned. Now we have, the final one being next year. I don't know. It just makes sense to kind of have it as that big house to advertise, the trilogy, like come and relive, all three of the new ones together in
okay.
one big house. That's why I always thought they might do it next year, as opposed to just doing one this year and then what happens next year. Are they going to have Michael Myers come right back again?
Gotcha.
So, I'm with Chris on that because, I mean, I think with something like Halloween, it's like, I don't know. I forgot where I was gonna go here. Never mind. I seriously, I had exactly where I was going, and then I started talking.
He said, "Let me
You
drive
fumbled.
Anthony, I see what you're doing. You were gonna support his case on the fact that it'll come next year, and because it's the new line of Halloween, the trilogy will be shown all in one house.
Oh, okay. No, I know where I was gonna go.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, so with Halloween 2018, this was originally planned to be the final Halloween film. And it wasn't until it made the money it made that they're like, oh, screw it, we're going to come back and do two more. We'll do a trilogy out of it. And, Danny McBride and David Gordon Green were like, yeah, this is going to be the last one and stuff. But this one made a shit ton of money. And they're like, oh, well, we can maybe do a trilogy out of this. So I do see where he's going with this. Initially, the plan wasn't for Halloween 2018 to get a sequel and a third movie as well. But now that plan is in motion, I see where Chris is going, that it would be better to wait and do all three films, which I feel could be good and couldn't work at the same time, just because I know some people – I don't know how these next two Halloween films are going to be. They could suck. They could be amazing, but, I mean, with Halloween 2018, I definitely think that deserves its own maze at least. I mean, that was a solid film to bring back Michael Myers after, with his 40th anniversary and everything, it was just a solid comeback.
And I get where Chris is coming from, and I didn't think of it that way. The only thing that I'm taking into consideration is the fact that he's, for the past, I think 8 years, he's come to the event every 2 years, and then he's been at the event so many times, the 30th anniversary, it would make sense for him to be there. And I'm going to let Losh talk because he keeps on raising his hand.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Stop the camera.
So
Go ahead.
while Chris was talking, I just had 2 ideas. He said that Psycho has been tied to the event, right? The People Under the Stairs has also been tied to the event. Sure. So at least for Orlando, I could potentially see them bringing the People Under the Stairs back for a fourth time? Want to say fourth time?
I don't know what that is.
You've never seen the People Under the Stairs?
It's one of the first IPs that was brought to Orlando.
Am I correct in saying that it was directed by Wes Craven?
Yeah.
Was it Wes Craven? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. What do you guys think? Anthony, chime in on Orlando too, man, because I think SoCal's making the cut over.
He's been doing a lot of covering on it, and
I know. So
I am not even sure if I'm going
right there
this year. I'm sort of trying to wait to see where this leads.
Here's the thing, right?
Pandemic.
It took me an actual booking of the trip for me to hop over to coverage, and now it's looking like I'm enjoying it too much to where I'm eventually gonna hop over there.
Oh, you're
gonna live over there?
Go to the event.
You're gonna
go to the event.
Floor exploring.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? And you know what we should do? So
Losh is gonna run that account.
Scott, I got you. Okay, check this out, guys. Tell me this isn't a genius idea. All right. So Scott's going to be in Orlando filming, and I'll go to Hollywood and film, and then my videos get posted to your channel, and your videos get posted to my channel.
So then it almost be like
No idea.
It'd be like
Some idea.
You know what it'd be like? It'd kind of be like we're just running our own channel still.
But hey, so what I was going to say for everybody to chime in on. So this year, I think there's going to be, although the speculation map hasn't shown it yet, maybe the scare zones for Orlando are going to be around the icons. Maybe that's how the icons show their face. Maybe one of these original houses is icon related. But one of the original icons, and we talked about this on an earlier episode of the podcast, is the the Cryptkeeper. The Cryptkeeper.
Caretaker.
Yeah, no, sorry. The Cryptkeeper. You can see how I confuse that. They sound very similar. Yeah. But the Cryptkeeper, I know that none of us actually went to that, but given that he was actually technically the first official icon at the event, he was actually advertised as the icon, and I believe it was the 5th Halloween Horror Nights. What do you guys think of that coming to the event?
Well, first off, I was there.
Were you?
What you just going out and saying that we weren't all there?
Yeah.
I was there. Losh was there. Me and
Yeah,
Losh were actually
I was
there
gonna
together.
say,
So
yeah, I was virtually there.
Most
About
of
like
you guys-
I virtually went there in like 2013, I'd say.
oh, so you had a time machine. That's
No,
awesome.
that was not 2013.
No,
No,
he virtually
He
went.
virtually,
Yeah, I virtually
went
went
there
there.
in
Come on, Eddie, I
2013.
know. Come on. I know you're a little older, but come on.
Oh.
Get down with the
Oh.
youth, dog.
Oh. Like the second one,
Hit them
okay.
rampage,
He
just
was
kinda lose your
building
mind
that
over
one
it.
up.
Yeah, I know. See, something that you'll learn when you get older is don't be freaking late, mother.
My parents are late everywhere they go. We're Cuban. It's what we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Mexicans are the same way. It's okay.
Yeah.
Party says 2:00, doesn't really start till 5.
Exactly.
But anyway, the Cryptkeeper, yeah, him being an icon and him. Were you saying him potentially, possibly making a return, or?
Yeah, being like represented at the event this year.
It would be a smart move because being that he was a major one back in the day, it would be cool for him to come back. I would love to eventually have everyone, like I think they did this with, I believe it was 15 or 20 or 25. It was one of the three. But when they had like the Legend Devil sit on the, like, he sat on a throne. Chris knows what I'm talking about. It's one of my favorite intros, and little by little he's introducing the big 4 icons, which I thought was an amazing intro to the event. And I wish they would bring something like that back for HHN Orlando, especially for something like this, a big monumental year for them for their 30th anniversary. Something like that of an opening ceremony would be cool. I mean, you're just going down the years of all the greatest icons leading to the opening ceremony, and then the opening ceremony happens. However, if the rumors are true, with the event, of course, cutting down on budget, eliminating scare zones potentially because of the pandemic, and as well as attendance, as far as limiting tickets maybe to only half of what they can hold on a normal night. I don't know about this. I mean, I do want to see a lot of things for HHN 30, but only time will tell, really. They probably already have a plan set in motion, but I'm pretty sure they got a plan B set in motion if they have to bring it out.
Yeah.
They always.
I think you're right there. I got a question for everybody that I think is a positive question given the current circumstances, and I'm gonna start it off with you, Anthony. Given the current circumstances and the potential changes to how the event is going to be managed, what do you think is the most positive thing, at least for some of us like hardcore fans, that's coming out of that?
No crowds. That's my favorite thing.
No conga line.
I went to Horror Nights 5 times this year, and every time I went, the 2 most packed mazes every single time were Killer Clowns from Outer Space and Stranger Things, and I felt bad for every person who stood in line for Stranger Things, waiting 2 damn hours, being like, you're gonna be so disappointed when you walk out of that maze. It sucks. You can literally get out of line and do the entire event and wait to the very end and wait like 5 minutes, and don't even do that because that maze is that bad.
But let's be real here. Half those people in line also came out and said, that was so good. Such a great haunted house. Now let's go home.
Yeah.
That's all they came for.
I came for Killer Clown, so.
What do you think, or Anthony, do you want to add anything onto that?
Lines and the other thing I was gonna say was maybe a little negative, but I will hold that back.
Okay. Only positive. We're talking about what's.
I know. Well, I was gonna bring up potential ticket prices going up, but I don't know.
I don't think that's gonna be the case because they want.
See, that's exactly what I was gonna dive into, but opposite. I think ticket prices are gonna be lower.
Exactly.
Well, it depends though. If they cut the event in half and they don't put as much budget into it, then yes, ticket prices will go lower. However, if they go in full effect with the same amount of mazes and everything that they put into this, with no scare zones, I think will be. But with Hollywood, ticket prices are always going up every year, so I can't really argue with that. I don't know how it is with Orlando if ticket prices go up every year.
Here's the thing, right? Is with Orlando, you guys have so much money. In Hollywood, we have a small budget for for our event. That's just that's it. What we should have more money because we're a studio. Like we're an actual studio.
It's okay. They can say that all you want, but we have something you don't. The Universal monster films were filmed on our lot.
That's true.
History, baby.
That's true.
We had Bring It On filmed on ours.
Yeah.
History, baby.
Yes.
Dracula, Frankenstein.
Everything regarding Universal Monsters is good in Hollywood compared to Orlando, but that's for another topic.
We got Creature.
So,
Now East versus West is really going. The title actually means something this episode.
We got Creature.
But I think that Orlando will most likely lower ticket prices, but Hollywood, I feel like we're just gonna keep ours the same or raise them because we're cheap, and that's just the unfortunate truth.
Yeah, I think to touch on that, I don't think prices will change that much. They either will maintain, go up a little, or go down a bit. I think given the current circumstances, they have to incentivize people to go on vacation because people are scared to go on vacation. And the people that are scared are going to be more likely to actually do it, given the proper PPE measures, if the price is right.
Well, here's the thing. I want to add just one more thing to that is like, I feel like, and I saw this, someone tweeted about this, is all these theme parks need to cater to their locals more when they open back up. Because with Horror Nights, it's going to be, a lot of people are scared to travel and everything. It's going to be not to the extent of 9/11, but it's going to be where people are afraid to go out and travel at all, even at theme parks. But with people like us, like, I don't know about you guys, but I know the virus is scary, but as soon as a theme park opens, I'm going out to the theme park no matter what.
I'll be there.
Yeah, I'm not scared to go out to a theme park, so they should really cater more to their loyal people more than as far as their tourists goes. Yeah, they need to make money, but they need to cater to the people who are actually going to show up to the event and show up to the actual theme parks.
Yeah, and which is one thing that we touched about, and Anthony and I talked about on the podcast was this might mean that we get an event that's more directed towards the loyal hardcore fan because they know those people are coming anyway. And this is an opportunity to give them what they want because we don't have those Stranger Things crowds showing up because those guys are scared. But you know what? I've been doing a lot of talking. And
yeah, you goddamn have.
Hey, this is the first time I've been able to do this on East. I'm going to go ahead and transfer it over to Anthony. So,
what am I? Losh, what do you think about? What's something positive that you want? You haven't talked a lot, and I feel very bad for that.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
People like to ramble on, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's some Cuban guys having their Jack and Cokes over there that like to rabbit on.
Yeah.
So.
It's iced tea. It's iced tea.
Iced tea. Secret iced tea. I know it's iced tea because he's had iced tea on the podcast before.
Oof.
The rapper.
Yeah.
Look, we give Losh a chance to talk, and he just sits there and stays
Losh,
quiet.
something positive that you hope comes out of this event this year.
So, just like all three of you said, I feel like the ticket prices should go down, most likely will go down, because they want to cater to everyone that's been through this pandemic. The crowds will be lowered because of everyone afraid, and it's going to cater to everybody that's a Horror Nights fan, this year at least. Because they're not really trying to... What am I trying to say? I lost my train of thought.
They're not really trying to bring in a certain type of audience or something.
Exactly.
His thoughts are 30 minutes late.
Really? Just can't let it go, can you?
He was holding that one in too,
I know. He's been holding this
shit
in.
He was there like, he's going to do it.
It's the same joke, just formatted differently.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it great. All right? You should have seen it coming, but you didn't.
No, I saw it coming.
Yeah,
I've been seeing him coming for. I already see like the next 5 coming. Chris, something positive that will come out of this year's Horror Nights.
Just to piggyback for a brief second about the prices, if the event is half capacity, but the fact that if they don't have scare zones, that means they're going to drop the prices because they're not going to have us pay the same price that we previously paid, like last year, for less of the event. So that's at least a given. But one positive thing I think would come out of this is maybe them sort of testing the system of like virtual like queue spacing, like because that's something we've never had done at Horror Nights, and they've done it, for some of the daytime attractions. But for something like that to be used for Horror Nights, I don't know what that's going to mean for Express down the road, but it would be kind of cool to have something like that technology thrown in there.
Definitely. I think I know it's all positive and stuff, but I think my biggest fear is if they do drop prices and they do limit to the event to like a half of a normal capacity than they would, that the events are going to sell out a lot faster. Because now that prices are dropping for a premier event like Horror Nights, more people are going to try to want to go. And it's gonna make it a little bit harder for people like us who go and cover the event. And not only for enjoyment, but as kind of like a second job for most of us. And, it's going to make it a little bit harder to do that if that is the case. However, I guess
that's
you
a
just
very
got to be.
good point, Anthony.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought you guys were talking about that, and I was like, well, they could drop prices, but
And to that I say, because I've been getting this in the comment section a lot. To that, I always say is we go back to the who's scared to go and who's not scared to go. Obviously, the diehard fans are gonna go. So in reality, will the event sell out? Because you got to think, all the diehard fans buy the frequent fear passes, and the only time they sell out is on the night of, because of all the people who say, hey, it's a Friday night, let's go out to Horror Nights. So in reality, is it going to be hard for us diehard fans to get out there? I don't think so. That's the only thing that I'm being open-minded about.
Yeah, to your point, Scott, the diehard fans make up the smaller portion of
or at least in Orlando.
Yeah. So, the people who follow like Stranger Things and those IPs, those are what make up the big portion of it. So if we end up getting a smaller event with these more centric to like the big fan or houses, not IPs, then I don't think it's gonna be an issue of it selling out. I think the people that would have gone won't have the reason to go.
Well, yeah, and then I go back to like you say that it is the same here in Hollywood. It's 80% of the population at the event is the people who are fans of Stranger Things, who are just coming for fun. But all the diehard fans, a small population, will already get our hands on frequent fear passes or advanced tickets, so we'll be fine. We don't need to worry about them selling out.
Yeah. I think there's a chance of it selling out depending on how strict the measures are. But I think diehard fans will be able to go. Maybe just not on your selected date. Maybe you'll have to concede to a date that it's available.
And just to quickly put, if there's this is just rumored out in the atmosphere of Earth. But if the rumor is that there's no frequent fear pass, that definitely, for me at least, would change a lot of my thought process and how I do Horror Nights, because typically, like if it's opening weekend and I know I have frequent fear, I can do like the first night, it's cool. I film a little bit, I try to enjoy the event. Maybe that second day, I really try to like go and try to film as much as I can, especially like hang out in the zones. Maybe that third day, if I didn't hit anything. So if I'm like forced to only get like a single ticket, I'm really going to have to think like, one ticket, try to do everything. Maybe I come back and try to like really do like some really good video in the zones type of thing, but it's gonna really change how my game plan goes.
Yeah,
definitely. I think the best way to really end this one on a positive note is just to I guess just hope for the best, especially with everything going on in the world right now. I mean, we're just especially all of us haunt YouTubers. I mean, we're just hoping for at least a haunt season this year. You know what I mean? And he just dissed you, by the way. That was hilarious.
I know, he left me hanging, Chris.
Nah, it's okay. Do that, Chris. He's been bagging on Losh all freaking
podcast. Wait, hold up, Anthony. Let's not end it just yet. I have one more kind of like topic that I want to do before. I wanted to first let everybody talk about the event as a whole before we transition to one other thing about the event and the current state of things.
I'm all ears. I'm listening.
Okay. Yeah, we're waiting.
All right, cool.
I'm listening.
All right, so the next thing that I just wanted to touch on really quick was basically some of the measures that they're talking about implementing. So I'm sure you guys have heard mask on both employees as well as the visitors to the park. as well as temperature checks. If you're over 100, you don't get access to the park. And then they're implementing a bunch of different like stations for sanitation, hand cleaning, and then I know that we were circulating a picture that was from Japan, I think it was, where the seating on the rides is like split up so that nobody's sitting next to each other. So if it's like a roller coaster with 2 seats, it's one person sitting in every seat and they stagger it out. So as far as those measures go, I personally am 100% for it. That I'm going to the event if it's there. And if those measures are in place, they make me feel even more comfortable going to the event. But how do you guys feel about it? Anthony, we'll start with you, bro.
I'm going to say this. It's going to be a disaster when it first starts. Because there's still going to be, and it's a good idea and it's a smart idea to keep everyone safe. However, the reason why I say it's going to be a disaster when it first starts is because everybody's going to try to figure out a system that works and gets people into the park as fast and as efficiently as possible. And usually with new things, it always takes a longer time. I mean, for example, Disneyland over here in California, when they did security a long time ago, a while back, which they still do security, but when they did security like near the ticket booths, it was a fucking cluster over there. It really was. It was not good. It was always packed in that little ass area. So when they finally moved security to where the parking structure was, it made it a lot more organized. If you had to drop stuff off to your car that you couldn't bring in, you could seriously go right up the stairs, drop it off, and come back, rather than going all the way to the tram, taking the tram, going all the way back. You know what I mean? So I think in the beginning it's going to be a disaster because they're still going to try to figure out the kinks and how to work it and move everyone in fast, but make sure they're doing the necessary precautions, that everyone is still healthy enough to come in and safe and everything. But as they get the hang of this kind of whole thing, I think that a better plan will come into effect where they have a system down where they get everybody in safely, everybody tested right, and kind of keep everybody moving. Because I look at it as a crowd point of view. Just getting into the damn parks is going to be a disaster.
Yeah. Do temperature checks and mask on both ends make you feel more comfortable going?
It makes me feel comfortable. I mean, if I have to wear a mask to go to these parks, so be it. I will, as long as I get to get out of the house. That's just my biggest thing.
Yeah, dude, I need to get out. SoCal?
The thing with me is like there's certain measures I did a video on this talking about the different survey questions that Orlando sent out. There's certain measures that I feel like aren't necessary to implement because they won't help as much. For example, like with the picture that was circulating around in the group chat of the people sitting individually on the coaster, if you're sitting with your friend or family member, whoever it is, you shouldn't have to be split up. If as far as a random person goes, yes, but I don't see. I think that you should be able to sit with your party members. Then again, we have to look at it as like they want to keep the seats that are unoccupied, disinfected, and clean. The mask, I'm all for, because it adds that extra level of security on the virus spreading. You feel protected, and for the most part, masks work pretty good. Temperature checks, I don't know if it's going to make me feel more comfortable, or just more as annoyed. I get that it's necessary, but, I mean, if most people have common sense, if you have over 100-degree fever, don't go to the fucking parks. Like, don't. Yeah. Just don't.
So, I want to piggyback off that real quick. We all should know, or maybe if you don't, I don't know, but there's a YouTuber, JPLand21, who brought up a really good point with that, saying that what if you go to the parks? I think he brought it up in our group chat. What if you go to the park? Because he goes to the parks like multiple times a week. And what does that mean for a temperature check for him? Like, does he have to still go through that every time or whatever? I mean, that can be kind of annoying, especially if you're a theme park goer who goes multiple times a week to the parks. I mean, I think that feature can be kind of annoying. If you have to do it once a week, because I'm used to, I usually go to Disneyland when it was open about once a week, just to go and hang out. Universal, I have not made a trip out in months, but I got to do that. But I guess if you're doing something like that, yeah, it's still going to be annoying, but it is what it is. In the end of the day, if that's what you have to do to get in these damn parks, then
yeah, I think Anthony sets it up perfectly. I mean, a lot of these things I'm just kind of like whatever about. I mean, a lot of them I think are unnecessary, but it is what it is. It's a reality, and there's nothing that we can do about it. If we can go to the theme parks and have to go through these, then so be it. Fuck it. Like, at least we get our theme parks back.
Yeah. And I think to that point, Anthony, it will be, you got to get checked every single time that you come to the park, because you could have left and been exposed to something.
Yeah.
So it would only make sense if they're doing this as a protective measure, then every single time that you enter, you have to be checked over again. Let's go over to Losh. What do you think about these measures? How do they make you feel?
I can get out of the corner now.
Yeah.
All right.
You're off a
timeout.
timeout.
For 30 minutes.
You're off a timeout. You're good.
All right. So I agree with both of you guys. I feel like us theme park goers, people that go consistently, at first it's going to be very annoying and very tedious, but we're just going to have to get used to the new norm. We're going to have to get screened every time we go. We're going to have to be separated from our parties. For Horror Nights, for example, they're going to pulse us, which I'd love it. I'd love to be pulsed through a house. Because, yes, Scott, the look?
Yeah, Scott was like, oh, what?
You don't want to
By
get
pulsing, that means
like
it will be less groups going in, and you can actually enjoy the scares.
Yeah, a group.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about something else. It's like, wait.
Oh, no.
Scott,
I wasn't
you
paying attention for a
sick-minded
split
person.
second.
Pulse
And then I was
is
like,
the opposite of conga line.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
exactly.
yeah. I love getting pulsed. I love the feeling of getting pulsed.
Don't say it like that.
That's gonna be the next shirt.
I love getting pulsed in the back. I love the feeling of getting pulsed.
Slogan.
Oh, man.
Go ahead,
Limited
Losh, go
edition T-shirt now available on the Nights of Horror.
Wait, hold up. Losh has spoken very little, so Losh, finish your thoughts, senor.
Okay, so I never went to another haunted event until last year, which was Dark Horizon, and I went at my own flow. I wasn't pulsed. I mean, I wasn't not pulsed. I wasn't conga lining through the shit, and it was the best experience I've ever had. I'm like, I love this feeling of not having someone on my ass the whole time. It's just amazing.
That media access was nice, huh?
Losh, I'm trying not to Joan on you,
my
but
boy.
You're
So you love getting pulsed and not getting rid on the ass, right?
I don't like anyone on my ass. I love being pulsed. Put that on a shirt.
What
Put
is
it on a
happening
shirt.
in this podcast? This is obviously I'm gonna have to put in this podcast not meant for kids.
Nope. Not meant for
I apologize to any children that have watched this podcast. I'm sorry. The old man made me do it.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so we'll transition over to Senor ZombieChris, the one with the freshest background right now with all the lighting. Look at that.
Oh, right.
Oh,
That looks
thank you,
fresh
thank
as
you.
hell.
What a man down there. Ooh.
ZombieChris, man. How do you feel with the measures that are being rumored as potentially coming to the parks and to the event?
For the most part, if we're only talking about Universal, which I think Scott will see how Disney handles security over here on the East Coast, and it's not done very good. It takes forever to get through most of the time through Disney, especially if you have a book bag. God, it takes forever comparison to Universal. I think Universal will implement everything very smoothly because they've already kind of handled the security measurement like very good. And I think you're just going to maybe there's going to be some kind of machine that does a temperature check or something like while you walk through, like the metal detectors or something. I would think that would be kind of the technology. Other than that, I think Losh had it perfectly about the pulsing in the house lines. I think that's going to be something we've never experienced before at Horror Nights, and I think it's going to spoil us, like for next year and years after. We're going to be like, oh man, remember that one year when they pulsed all the lines? Other than that, I don't know how this is going to translate well to the rides, because if you have folks that get on and then after they get off, they're going to have to somehow sanitize the entire ride. then a new fresh group, that's gonna kill the wait times are gonna be atrocious for folks. Also, there's the language barrier. Most folks who come to the park, they visit from other places in the world, and sometimes they don't understand when attractions break down or things happen on rides and stuff. So try explaining now, the whole factor that you can't sit together or there's even longer wait, so like Anthony said, I think these are just things that are going to be sort of tested in the start of how we go through things, and then they'll just be ironed out later on.
Yeah. I think that eventually they're just going to have to find a system that works.
Yeah.
Like I said, everything starts as a disaster because it's a testing phase. But once they find the system of what works, eventually they nail it. And it takes people some time. I mean, Universal over here in Hollywood has basically like almost like an airport security style kind of security walkthrough where you just throw your bags in like an X-ray machine and it detects everything, and then you go through a metal detector and
that's how it is in Orlando.
They said they're going to eliminate those X-ray belts.
Yeah.
Which is something that I'm actually happy about.
They are?
I don't like going through TSA.
But if they eliminate those X-ray belts, they might eliminate your ability to bring backpacks as well.
That's true.
Oh no.
So, but yeah, I've heard that they're going to eliminate the X-ray belts just because everybody throwing their stuff on there is only a bigger chance of everything getting cross-contaminated. But yeah, the parks and the event are in an interesting state. Luckily enough, there's been a lot of talk positively about what could be potentially happening. And when I say positively, I mean they're talking about measures to be put in place to actually open. There's other rumors that were going around earlier about things not happening up till next year, things being closed down up till next year. And now they're talking about the Florida governor, at least. I'm not sure in California, but the Florida governor is talking about how we're going to put some measures in place so that things could be opened up as soon as June. And that's great. If things open up as soon as June, that means that they're able to put in some protocols, test things so that by the time that we get to Halloween Horror Nights, we're running buttery smooth. And I think that goes for both coasts. Things will open up sooner. That gives us time to basically test things out. But you know what? I'm going to pass it on over to Anthony. I've been a bit of a mic hog here. I am not the only host on this podcast. We do have 3 guests that have been very gracious of joining us. But Anthony, you beautiful mohawked man, go ahead and take over.
It's because he's drunk off that iced tea.
No, iced tea. He's been hosting the show the entire time. Wait, whose channel is this again? Damn.
Oh,
Eddie-tainment? Yeah.
Eddie-tainment.
have you been Eddie-tained?
Have you been Eddie-tained?
Damn right.
Are you not Eddie-tained?
Damn.
Are you not Eddie-tained? No, I think you know what? I recently I hate to bring this up, but in California the governor just came out today with a statement saying, I don't have a light switch or anything that I can turn on or flip. I can't tell you when stuff is going to get back to normal. And that's kind of a sad and scary thing right now because, I mean, with California, it's actually one of the most affected states as far as the pandemic goes with the whole virus. And, it does scare me going out every day. I will be honest. If I have to go out and get anything, it is very scary. Even though I do take the necessary precautions, it still is very scary because there's this is only cases that we know of that have been tested. So there could be people that have not been tested at all and still have it. And I saw recently Florida just opened up their beaches, which was I think it was kind of a bad idea.
Floridians are idiots.
So,
Florida morons.
That was a bad idea, and I hope that doesn't affect going forward as far as events opening up and stuff, and that doesn't have to postpone anything. So it's been a really hard time for everyone. We haven't lived through something like this since, before any of us were even alive. I think it was like the 1930s the last time something like this happened, or the 1920s. So it's definitely new to all of us. We're still trying to really go with the flow and try to really hang in there. I know a lot of us are starting to end up slowly like Jack Torrance from The Shining. Little by little, all work and no play. But I think it's stuff like this, when we all come together, even though it's all on video chat and stuff, it's stuff like this that really are motivating us as content creators and us, not only as the creators but as fans, to unite and make stuff for fans. I think something like this, I think whoever got the post notification bell for this just lost their shit, because they're like, oh my God, I watch all those people and they're in one video. That is nuts.
Yeah.
So if we can do that for you, and if you've made it this far in the podcast, then we love doing it. We ain't gonna stop doing it, because this is something that we all truly love. We have a passion for, and yeah, man. I mean, this has been a fun experience, and I hope we get to do more of these soon, especially since we all somewhat have, more time on our hands. I know Chris and Adrian and Scott, they're all essential workers right now. So really appreciate you guys as far as essential workers go. And that goes for just anyone who's watching who's an essential worker, whether you're in the medical field, whether you're in the law enforcement field, firefighters, grocery stores, convenience stores, fast food restaurants, anything that's open right now that's an essential business. We really appreciate all the hard work and dedication that you're putting in. You guys are the frontliners of this right now, and yeah, it's really hard, but without you guys, life wouldn't be going. So really appreciate that. To end this on a positive note, it's just been a fun time as far as all the shenanigans go. I know I took it real serious and deep towards the end, but the shenanigans have been fun. It shows you what 5 YouTubers can do when they get together. It's a disaster. It took us an hour just to get set up and going.
A beautiful disaster.
It's exactly what you said, but like, even though we have all the shenanigans and everything, it's entertaining. I feel like all of our audience are gonna appreciate it, and I know from a creator standpoint that like all 4 of you guys, like at least in my eyes, I like respect all of you guys, and you guys are like down to earth content creators. Because as I got into know most of you, besides Eddie, I haven't talked to Eddie the most. You guys know I only ride with down to earth content creators. So I think this is good for all of us and the audience who are gonna love this and absolutely be happy with this instead of being bored and cooped in their house.
Losh, you had something to say. This is like a Democratic debate when they raise their hands to talk.
I was gonna ask. He said something about all the content creators. I was gonna ask if everyone's been Eddie-tained.
Hey, Losh, nobody can see where you're pointing because all of us have different.
I'm in a corner.
You're pointing over here, right? And it's gonna look weird on mine, but you're on like the bottom left side of my screen. You're pointing this way. You're pointing on my PC. So.
Where's Eddie?
Eddie is, for me, is on the top right corner.
So right here?
Yeah.
Right here?
Right there.
This old man is asking if you guys have been Eddie-tained.
Old man, that's messed up, man.
No, I'm kidding.
You're
I'm
the
kidding.
second oldest
That's
man.
That's my Cuban uncle up there.
Hey, you know what? From a seniority perspective, I appreciate this time with all you guys. It was a blast, and I'm glad that from a perspective of like content creators, we could actually all get together, because I'm pretty sure that all of us, remove the virus, our basically followers cross-contaminate.
Yeah.
We got people that watch SoCal, that watch Anthony, and watch Chris, watch Adrian, and watch Eddie. So
no one watches my channel. What are you talking about? No one.
What's
watches,
that?
No one watches my content.
Nobody watches Eddie.
No one watches my shit. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Nobody watches Eddie Tainment either.
Why do you think I got ZombieChris and Socalexploring up here? They're gonna boost my rate. No, I'm just kidding. Not at all. I want.
We're all collaborating though. Like we all slowly started to edge into collaborating. So like, a lot of people know me and Losh together already, and a lot of people already obviously know you and Anthony, or Eddie and Anthony together. A lot of people know who ZombieChris is, just because Zombie has the biggest following out of all of us. But so now it's like all of us, and me and Anthony have been doing it for a while, like I said, like as far as collaborating. So it's like all of our audiences are like, I'm sure they're happy about this.
Yeah, they're intermeshed. So I think this is fun for us and fun for the audience as well. So, Chris, Adrian, Scott, thank you guys for being on the podcast. Anthony, thank you for being my co-host. And usually he's the lead host. So
I am, right?
This was a new experience for me. I apologize.
At the beginning, so that's why you got to take over the captain's chair today.
Yeah, I was gonna say you took it over because his sound went out.
Hey, and I hope I rose to the challenge because this guy, those were big shoes to freaking fill. Okay?
Yeah, you did all right.
Yeah, I did all right.
So follow everybody on social media at ZombieChrisCT, at LoshTV, at Socalexploring Media, at what's yours, Eddie?
Eddie Tained?
Are you Eddie Tained?
Are you Eddie Tained?
Are you Eddie Tained? At the Knights of Horror. And keep up with everybody's channels. ZombieChris, LoshTV, SoCalExploring, Edutainment. I'm the Knights of Horror, Anthony. We've had a blast filming this one, and we'll definitely do this again, boys. So thank you guys so much for being on the show. Hit that bell notification, like button, comments, all that fun stuff, and we will see you guys soon.
Deuces.